Welcome to the deep dive. We've got a fantastic stack of sources to unpack today, shared by one of our curious listeners, you.
That's right. Today we're diving into The Everyday Stoic, Simple Rules for a Good Life by William Mulligan. And this isn't going to be some dusty academic lecture, though we'll definitely touch on the history.
Yeah, William Mulligan, he's the founder of the Everyday Stoic, right? Built a huge online following, and his whole mission is, well, it's about making this ancient stuff work for you today.
Exactly. The book takes these, timeless Stoic principles and sort of translates them, makes them tools you can actually use for navigating, well, everything, the little daily annoyances, the big life stuff.
So our mission today really is to pull out the key insights, give you a bit of a shortcut maybe to understanding how these simple rules could lead to more peace, more happiness, just a better life right now. Okay, let's unpack this. Starting at the beginning, I guess. What is Stoicism anyway?
Well, the origin story is pretty interesting, actually. It starts with this merchant, Zeno, maybe around 300 BC. He got shipwrecked, lost like everything he owned.
Wow, so total ruin leads to philosophy. That's quite a pivot.
A massive one. He ends up in Athens, completely broke, but finds himself in a bookshop reading about Socrates, and he just gets hooked, stays there, starts developing his own ideas. His followers started meeting at this public place, a painted porch called the Stoa Poikile.
Ah, Stoics. Okay, makes sense.
Exactly. Hence the name.
So from shipwreck and books to a whole school of thought, who came after Zeno? Any notable figures?
Oh, yeah, you get this succession of really interesting leaders. There was Cleanthes, apparently incredibly strong and patient. They called him the ass, believe it or not. Then Chrysippus, who wrote a ton and really helped organize Stoicism, make its bread. He's the one who supposedly died laughing at a donkey eating figs.
Died laughing at a donkey. Okay, that's
Yeah.
memorable. Definitely adds some color.
It really does. And later you have figures like Posidonius, who's an athlete, a politician. He gave it even more clout. But I think for a lot of us today, the really relatable figures came later, under Roman influence. People like Epictetus.
Right, Epictetus. He was born enslaved, wasn't he? And had a disability.
That's right. And he was laser focused on the practical side of things, how to actually live this stuff. He didn't write anything himself, interestingly. What we have are notes taken by his students.
And I've heard he's seen as a major influence on, like, cognitive behavioral therapy, CBT. That seems like a huge leap from ancient Rome to modern therapy.
It is, but it makes sense. His emphasis on focusing only on what's in your control and how your thoughts shape your experience,
Yeah.
that resonated centuries later. Became foundational for therapies like CBT, and then, of course, Marcus Aurelius,
The philosopher king.
the Roman emperor himself. His private journal, the meditations, it just feels so raw and human. Full of wisdom, sure, but also struggle.
So it spread, became influential, but the source says it wasn't always smooth sailing. Power structures weren't always fans. Persecution, even.
Yeah, definitely. Emperors like Domitian, Nero,
Yeah.
they exiled philosophers, specifically targeting Stoics. Epictetus was exiled, his teacher Musonius Rufus too.
Why, though? What's threatening about a philosophy that encourages inner peace and virtue?
Well, the source sort of hints.
Yeah.
Maybe population that's content, unafraid, focused on inner virtue. Maybe they're harder to manipulate. If your main tools are fear or pushing endless consumption, then a philosophy saying, maybe we don't need all this stuff, or maybe we shouldn't fight each other, becomes, well, a bit inconvenient.
Yeah, I can see that. So why has it stuck around thousands of years, right up to William Mulligan today?
I think it's a practicality. It's accessible. You don't need to wade through millions of words of dense text, necessarily. It's flexible. It doesn't demand perfection. It's about the daily practice, building good habits, working towards what the Greeks called eudaimonia, human flourishing. And that doesn't just help you. It sort of naturally flows outwards, makes you more patient, more empathetic.
And William Mulligan's own story, the one he tells in the book, seems like a real embodiment of that, going from struggle to, well, flourishing.
It really is. He talks about being painfully shy, anxious, just paralyzed by fear when he was younger, cost him opportunities, friendships. He was working this tough laboring job, commuting 4 hours a day, feeling like life was just slipping away.
But that commute, that awful commute, actually became kind of a turning point.
Yeah, exactly. His mom pushed him to read on the bus, turn that dead time into discovery time. And he starts finding these new ideas. And then there's that lovely story he tells about the bin man.
Oh, yeah, finding a book he'd lost and giving it back.
Yeah, that small, unexpected kindness from a stranger. It just shifted something in him. Made him wonder, like, hang on, maybe most people do want to do good things. And around then, he discovers Marcus Aurelius's meditations. He says it felt like the rock that the waves keep crashing over in his life, realizing these weren't perfect gods, just humans, struggling humans.
And that gave him the push he needed to change
They
things.
gave him clarity, courage. He quit the job, started a film business with his brothers, Mulligan brothers, literally out of their mom's attic, fiberglass insulation everywhere. The goal was always about inspiring change through film. And applying Stoic ideas daily just brought him more and more happiness as the business grew.
And you really feel that personal journey in the book's purpose, don't you?
Definitely. It's not meant to be some scholarly treatise. It's a practical guide, a template for daily life, accessible to anyone, not just academics. It's about giving you the tools to build towards your best self through living it, acting on it.
Putting it into practice, like that Heraclitus quote mentioned. Day by day, what you choose, what you think, and what you do is who you become.
Absolutely. Core Stoic idea, just framed for today.
Now, central to that practical living, the book talks about the 4 virtues.
Yes. Wisdom, justice, courage, and moderation. These are positioned as the absolute bedrock, the guideposts for being a good person and finding that contentment. If you build your life on these, the Stoics argued, you've got a solid foundation.
And the source contrasts this with, well, what people often base their lives on instead.
Right. If you don't consciously choose a philosophy, you often just default to whatever pop culture, social media, or, your upbringing gives you, which often means prioritizing external things, possessions, how you look, getting more stuff. Parents influence us, sure, but now the internet starts wiring kids young to want money, attention, status. The problem is, that doesn't give you a real framework for living well, especially when life gets tough or you're just alone with your thoughts.
But the virtues, they offer guidance in, like, any situation.
That's the idea. The book suggests this really neat exercise, virtue modeling. Think of someone you admire, real person, fictional character. Doesn't matter who really embodies one of these virtues. Then when you're stuck, ask yourself, okay, what would they do right now?
And Epictetus connects this directly to happiness, right? Saying progress towards virtue is progress towards happiness. It's the practice, not being perfect.
Exactly, it's the journey, building the habit. The ancient Greeks even depicted them as a tetramorph. Men for wisdom, lion for courage, eagle for justice, ox for moderation. Shows how fundamental they saw them.
Let's dig into them a bit because the definitions are maybe broader than you'd first think. Wisdom, for instance.
Yeah, it's not just about being smart or knowing facts. It includes having a good, calculating mind, quick wit, discretion, being resourceful, just having good sense. And crucially, it's about recognizing what's actually in your power versus what isn't, and knowing what's truly good and bad. And it's not something you're just born with. It's a skill you practice, you get better at it daily.
Wisdom also helps us see ourselves more clearly, doesn't it? The book mentions how we judge ourselves versus others.
Right, that bias. We judge ourselves by our intentions. Oh, I didn't mean to. But we judge others purely by their actions because we can't see their intentions. We give ourselves excuses, but we don't extend that same grace. The source points out how modern capitalism can mess with this. We start linking, say, a banker's wealth with moral goodness and demonizing someone on benefits. That's losing objective wisdom.
And justice, it's not just courts and laws.
Not at all. It's about basic honesty, fairness, equity in all our dealings. Helping others, working for the common good, even small things like picking up litter, kindness, avoiding anger. The Stoics often saw justice as maybe the most important, though the book also quotes Maya Angelou saying courage is the foundation because you need courage to practice the others consistently.
And the book contrasts online slacktivism with real action here. That's pretty pointed.
Yeah, the example of the vegan friend arguing semantics online versus someone actually starting a support group for young carers. The Stoic view is firmly with the action. What you do matters infinitely more than what you think or say, or how you present yourself. Marcus Aurelius nailed it. Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be one.
Courage sounds like facing big, scary things, but it's also about the everyday grind.
Totally. It includes cheerfulness, endurance, confidence, sticking to your principles when it's tough. It's about handling difficult feelings, hunger, pain, tiredness without falling apart. Musonius Rufus, Epictetus' teacher, saw his exile to a barren island as, training, an opportunity to practice endurance. The book makes a great point. Fear itself often does more damage than the thing we're afraid of. Courage helps break that paralysis. Build the habit. Use reason to overcome those fears we learned as kids.
Okay, and the last one, moderation.
Basically, modesty, self-control, good discipline. It means having the restraint to skip immediate gratification if it conflicts with wisdom or courage. Avoiding greed, vanity, limiting your wants to your actual needs. It's not just self-discipline so you can indulge more later, like hitting the gym super hard just so you can eat junk. It's about finding that middle path, that balance. William Mulligan learned this the hard way, working crazy hours, burning out, realizing, okay, balance is key.
So these four aren't just nice ideas, they're like actual tools for behavior.
Exactly. Wisdom tells you what's controllable and what's truly good. Courage lets you act on it. Justice guides you to act for the common good. And moderation helps you keep doing it, keeps the habit stable, like the four legs of a chair, keeping everything upright.
And the flip side, the book mentions the four vices to avoid: foolishness, cowardice, injustice, intemperance.
The things you actively work against, the virtues, are the method for shaping yourself towards that goal of eudaimonia.
Eudaimonia, right, that big Greek word. We all chase happiness, but the Stoics were after something deeper, more substantial.
That's it exactly. Eudaimonia, often translated as human flourishing, or living your best life maybe. It's a deeper sense of well-being. And the book breaks down how to move towards it, using this simple triangle of actions.
A triangle. Okay, what are the points?
First, take responsibility. This isn't about blaming yourself for bad things happening, but taking responsibility for your response to them. Your choices after the hardship. Taking care of yourself, engaging with the world constructively, letting go of regret, focusing on now. Second, focus on what you can control. This is huge in Stoicism. The list of things we can't control is endless: the past, other people, the weather, accidents. But the list of things we can control, it's actually pretty short.
Our thoughts, our actions.
Our opinions, choices, motivations, our character. That's pretty much it.
Which can feel a bit restrictive at first.
It can. But the Stoic insight is that focusing all your energy just on that short list is incredibly freeing. You stop wasting energy worrying about or trying to change things you simply can't. And the third point of the triangle is live with arete.
Arete, meaning excellence, right? Specifically through those four virtues we just talked about.
Precisely. The idea is, if you consistently live by wisdom, justice, courage, and moderation, you naturally cultivate inner peace and that state of eudaimonia. You flourish yourself, and you help others flourish too.
It sounds like a continuous journey, not like a final destination you reach and then you're done.
Absolutely. Like that old story of Heracles at the crossroads, choosing the hard uphill path of virtue over the easy downhill path of vice. The researcher Kai Whiteis says Stoics see it as a duty almost to work towards this flourishing in ourselves and for others.
And the book contrasts eudaimonia with, say, Buddhist nirvana, pointing out it's something accessible now.
Yeah, not something you need lifetimes to achieve. You can step onto the path right away. It's not about suddenly becoming perfect, but just starting the process, deciding to aim for virtue. That decision itself is the first step into the light, so to speak.
And the source really hammers home why relying on external things for happiness is, well, a flawed strategy.
Because pleasure from external stuff, a new gadget, praise, whatever, it's fleeting, right? It only lasts while the thing is there. And even then, the buzz fades fast. You start needing the next thing. And if that external thing goes away, your happiness goes with it. Compare that to relying on internal things, your wisdom, your integrity, your reason. Those can't be taken away from you. It's just wiser to build on that internal foundation.
It really throws the contrast between someone like Marcus Aurelius, the emperor, and Epictetus, the former slave, into sharp relief.
Totally. Marcus had all the external advantages, wealth, power, you name it. But Stoicism suggests Epictetus, by focusing solely on his inner world, his virtue, might have had more access to true eudaimonia, because fame, fortune, they can actually get in the way. Too many temptations towards excess, towards prioritizing the wrong things. Real character, the truly admirable stuff, comes from those daily choices and actions within your control, not from luck like where you were born.
The source even suggests feeling sorry for millionaires and billionaires. That's definitely provocative.
It is. And it's meant to make you think. It's not pity exactly, but perspective. Their wealth might fill a void, sure, but does it bring lasting peace? Contentment? Maybe not. The book cites Dr. Anna Lemke's work on dopamine overload in wealthy societies, how constant access to pleasure just resets our baseline higher and higher. We need more and more just to feel normal, making simple joys less satisfying and making us more fragile when things aren't perfect. Modern tech, easy rewards. They kind of wire our brains that way.
William Mulligan's story about finally getting his dream studio fits right in there.
Yeah, he worked so hard, achieved this huge goal, and then felt this kind of, anticlimax. He pinned his hopes for ultimate happiness on this external thing, but getting it wasn't the magic bullet. As the book says, getting things rarely is the answer, because no external thing can fix everything internally.
And the book keeps giving these little exercises, like reflecting on how you're practicing the virtues day to day.
Yeah, prompting you, can you lean more into wisdom today? Or courage? Is your current path generally heading towards eudaimonia? Goes back to Zeno.
Yeah.
Well-being is realized by small steps, but is truly no small thing.
It's that consistent small step effort. And messing up is okay. It doesn't reset everything.
Totally okay. Stoicism is very forgiving. A bad day doesn't erase the good work. The practice is the point. Just start again. Step back into that triangle of responsibility, control, and virtue whenever you can.
And this flourishing isn't just a selfish pursuit. It links to universal care.
For the Stoics, eudaimonia was interconnected. It naturally leads to more connection, empathy, generosity. William Mulligan's way of handling online hate comments is a perfect modern example.
Using negativity as, like, virtue practice.
Exactly. He treats nasty messages almost like a virtue ethics game. How can he respond with kindness? Can he maybe educate the person? He says the really challenging messages become exciting opportunities to try and help, which makes him feel better and, surprisingly often, leads to apologies. It's actively choosing to put goodness out there.
Marcus Aurelius sums it up so well. Nothing is good for a human being which does not make him just, self-controlled, brave, and free, and nothing evil which does not make him the opposite.
Brings it right back. Everything you truly need, mentally, spiritually, it's already inside you. Our minds kind of naturally seek that balance of the virtues, even if modern life pulls us towards the vices. We always have the freedom to choose the path of positivity, of practice.
Which brings us to the idea of indifference, things that aren't good or bad in themselves.
Right. Things like money, health, reputation, skills, they're neutral, indifferent. What matters is how you use them. Do you use them virtuously, or do they pull you towards vice? Wealth isn't inherently bad, but using it exploitatively is. Using it to help others is virtuous. Good health isn't automatically good if it belongs to a tyrant. You may have too much virtue, but you can have too much of an indifferent if it corrupts you.
So the daily work, that eudaimonia triangle, it's about shaping ourselves towards virtue no matter what indifference we happen to have.
Precisely. If everything external was stripped away, you'd still have your internal habits, your character, and the freedom to choose everyday excellence. You decide how to wield the indifferent aspects of your life. It means every single day is a chance to walk that positive path.
Okay, it's easy to feel overwhelmed though, isn't it? Like the world is just chaos, especially with the news cycle, the internet.
And the Stoic response to that feeling is, well, it's often our perception that creates the chaos. This leads to another massive Stoic idea, Amor Fati, love of fate.
Love of fate, that sounds hard, especially when terrible things happen. How do you love that?
It's not about liking the bad things. It's about accepting that you cannot change what has already happened or much of what is happening externally to you. So since you can't change it, you might as well embrace it and work with it, make the absolute best of it. The world unfolds as it does, and very little is actually controlled by our individual choices.
And the dichotomy of control is the tool to figure this out.
It's the absolute key, sorting things into two boxes, what I can control and what I cannot. We control. Our opinions, our impulses, our desires, our aversions, basically our choices, motivations, our character. That's the list. We cannot control. The past, other people's actions, external events, outcomes, our reputation mostly, our health entirely, natural disasters, the weather.
That second list is, yeah, it's huge.
Yeah.
Feels a bit disempowering, maybe.
It can feel that way initially, but the Stoics saw it as incredibly comforting. Think of Mark Twain's quote, "I've had a lot of worries in my life, most of which never happened." Worrying about things you can't control means you suffer twice the worry itself, and then maybe the event, if it happens. Accepting you don't control it doesn't make you powerless. It frees up all your mental energy to focus intensely on the one thing you do control, your response.
So it's all about redirecting your focus, your energy.
Exactly. Marcus Aurelius. You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength. Montaigne put it brilliantly. Not being able to govern events, I govern myself. Epictetus said, we're troubled not by things, but by our judgments about things. The book suggests looking back at past worries. Did any of that fretting actually help? Probably not. It likely just caused more pain. Accepting events gives you back power over your own mind.
And sympatheia, the idea that we're all connected, fits in here too, accepting the world as it is.
Yes, seeing ourselves as part of one larger whole, one system, accepting your life, acknowledging you can't control everything. Paradoxically, it brings peace. The rain example is simple but effective. Whether you blame gods or weather patterns, it is raining. Wishing it wasn't is futile. Your only real choice is acceptance and how you deal with it.
The analogies the source uses are helpful. The dog and the cart.
Zeno's dog tied to a cart, yeah. The dog will follow the cart. It can fight, get dragged, bruised, exhausted, or it can choose to walk alongside, making the journey smoother. Life's cart will pull you along its path. You choose whether to walk with it willingly or fight at every step. Or Chrysippus's cylinder and cone. Cylinders roll smoothly, cones just keep circling the same spot, resisting.
Accepting you control so little seems like it could lead to more gratitude too.
Because it shifts your focus to what you do have and what you can actually influence your character, your choices. Events are transient. Your response is the real work. Zeno losing everything in the shipwreck is the ultimate example. He didn't just collapse. He accepted it and found philosophy. He embodied that capacity to find meaning even in disaster.
The book frames life as raw material flying at you.
Yeah, you can flinch and get battered, or you can try to pick up the pieces and build something. If you just try to avoid the challenge, it becomes this obstacle you keep stumbling over.
But what about genuine anxiety? William Mulligan talks openly about his struggles.
And the source doesn't dismiss that. Anxiety is real. The Stoic approach isn't pretending it's not there, but gaining more control over your response to it by pouring your energy into what is within your power. Letting go of the illusion of controlling everything frees up the energy that was previously trapped in fear and panic. That Kamal Ravikant quote is great. Most of our pain comes from resistance to what is. Say yes to life. That's where power comes from. The real fight is internal, against that resistance, not against the world itself.
And the small stuff, the daily grind annoyances, noisy neighbors, rude people.
Epictetus basically said, expect it. Prepare yourself mentally for public spaces. Expect splashing, crowding, rudeness, theft. People will be people. Getting furious about it only hurts you. Master Shi Hengyi's point is spot on. If even people you know well surprise you, why expect strangers to behave perfectly? Expecting the world to match your internal ideal is a recipe for frustration. The focus shifts. How do I maintain my character, my calm amidst this? You can't choose their behavior, only your reaction. Epictetus again. Seek not for events to happen as you wish, but rather wish for events to happen as they do, and your life will go smoothly.
The Chinese farmer story really drives this home, doesn't it?
That fable is perfect. Nothing is objectively good or bad, it just is, and its consequences unfold over time. The farmer loses his horse, bad. It comes back with wild horses, good. Son breaks leg taming them, bad. Son avoids the draft because of the leg, good. Accept things without wild swings of grief or celebration. A perceived gift might turn sour. A setback might open a door. Hardship often forces growth. Think Kama's Invincible Summer, Dostoevsky's Darker the Night, Brighter the Stars, Seneca. No man is more unhappy than he who never faces adversity. Treat ups and downs as chances to polish your character. Missing out on something might be the best luck you ever had.
The view from above exercise sounds like a practical technique for this.
Yeah, mentally zooming out, seeing your problems from a cosmic scale. William Mulligan used it for business stress. It shrinks your immediate worries, reminds you they're temporary, gives you that vital perspective.
And Diogenes popping up again, needing only sunlight, versus Alexander needing the world. Contentment versus endless desire.
Exactly. Diogenes already had everything he truly needed. Alexander, with all his power, was driven by wanting more, never satisfied. Seneca adds, the future's uncertain, so live now.
We can get stuck ruminating on the past, too.
Right. We can reinterpret past events with new understanding, but the event itself is fixed. Our feelings about it can change, though. Don't let past suffering, which isn't happening now, hold you hostage. Accept the feelings, acknowledge them, but recognize they are just feelings about something that's over.
What about future worries? Job security, family health, terrifying news headlines.
Those things aren't happening right now. They are mental projections, possibilities. They may or may not happen. And crucially, very little you do in this moment drastically changes the course of, say, global politics. You can choose to let those anxieties run the show, or you can practice Amor Fati, accept the uncertainty, and bring your focus back to the present moment, where the anxiety doesn't physically exist.
But this isn't about sticking your head in the sand regarding big issues like war or climate change.
Not at all. It's about asking, okay, given this situation, what virtuous action can I take in this moment? Even in the worst circumstances, humanity, kindness, courage persist. Grief is awful, but it reminds us of love. You can still connect with the best parts of life, even amidst suffering, by choosing your inner response and focusing on constructive action within your sphere of control.
So how do you move from just accepting fate to maybe even loving it, finding joy?
That's the deeper level of Amor Fati. The book suggests that it involves actively. 1, welcoming challenges as growth opportunities. 2, letting go of regrets to focus on the present. 3, consciously cultivating appreciation for all experiences. It's tough at first, as Musashi said, all things are difficult at first, but practice makes it a habit. You start seeing the world differently with more gratitude, acceptance, and opportunity, even in hardship. It all comes back to Epictetus. Know what's in your power, accept what's not.
And that dichotomy of control isn't about becoming a master manipulator of yourself.
No, it's the opposite. The release of trying to control externals is what grants you control over yourself. It's a lifelong practice, not a one-time fix. And the source acknowledges, yeah, it can feel like you're failing sometimes, but Stoicism is forgiving. Life is hard. Control here means using your reason, guided by the virtues, in each moment.
The dancing in the rain idea captures it.
Choosing to engage positively with reality as it is, instead of wishing it were sunny. Letting go of the illusion that you can fully control your health, reputation, wealth. These things have too many external variables. Investing your core happiness in them is setting yourself up for disappointment. That 2-column exercise, control versus no control, is so powerful. Seeing how long the no control list is makes a short control list feel suddenly very manageable and potent.
And we waste so much time and energy on that long list.
Hours agonizing over celebrity news, sports results, things totally unaffected by our feelings or efforts. We give away like 99% of our mental energy to externals, the past, the future. It's like trying to fight every single wave in the ocean and wondering why you're exhausted and getting nowhere.
Because the only things you truly fully control are internal.
Yes. And grasping that, really grasping it, is like unlocking a superpower. Suddenly, you have 99% more energy, focus, clarity to pour into your character, your choices, your actions. That's where rapid growth happens, where worry shrinks, where life feels lighter.
Destination addiction feels like a very modern symptom of ignoring this.
Totally. Always chasing the next external goal for happiness. Craving control over everything, our bodies, our status, even aging, rushing recovery from being sick, buying products promising to speed up natural processes. Modern life often conditions us to hurry, to grasp for that illusion of control.
William Mulligan admits it took him a long time to really accept the dichotomy of control.
He felt it was like admitting weakness at first. His practice became consciously noticing frustration arise and just letting it wash over him without reacting, getting stuck in traffic. Instead of rage, it became an opportunity. Listen to a podcast, notice things outside, just be. Like the kid fascinated by the long train, not angry about the delay. He suggests reframing issues, maybe even making an issue-benefit table to find the upside.
Looking back, even bad times often had silver linings we didn't see then.
A terrible relationship teaches you what you value. A nightmare boss motivates you to find fulfilling work. A tragedy can bring a family closer in unexpected ways. Being stuck in traffic is just being stuck in traffic. Your anger doesn't move the cars, but it eats you up. Or it's a chance to listen to music, notice the sky, breathe. Cleaning isn't just a chore to rush through, it's a moment. You can choose to be present, do it well, maybe even find satisfaction in it. William Mulligan's gardening example, the joy was in the doing, not just the finished flower bed. Avoiding destination addiction means appreciating the process. Did you lose time to chores, or did you inhabit those moments?
Life's a journey, not just a race to the finish line.
All those squiggles and detours on the line from birth to death. That's life. Enjoy the conversation fully. Listen to the music deeply. Ellen Watts said life is like music or dancing. The point isn't to get to the end, the Stoic process. Awareness, assessment, action. That assessment pause is key. Instead of reacting with, how does this harm me? You pause and ask, okay, what's the virtuous thing to do here? Give yourself time. Count to 10. See the situation from the outside. In an emergency, instead of blind panic, it allows for clearer awareness, calmer assessment, more effective action. It becomes a chance to grow, to help.
Gamifying life, that sounds like a fun application.
Yeah, William Mulligan frames challenges as chances to level up his character. The reward isn't external points. It's building resilience, putting good into the world. Someone's rude. Okay, no control over them. Control over my response. Practice strengthens that muscle. The Stoicism game idea. View that rude person almost like a natural phenomena, one of those, and see it as an opportunity to practice justice. seeing their flawed humanity, or kindness, responding calmly. Level up patience, perspective, empathy.
Like Bruce Lee, hack away the unessential.
Exactly. Strip away everything outside your control. You're left with the core, the virtues, your choices. Life becomes simpler, more manageable, maybe even more enjoyable.
And the links to CB Trapped are undeniable here.
Absolutely. The Serenity Prayer is pure Stoicism. Albert Ellis, founder of REDBT, directly credited Epictetus. The core insight: events don't disturb us, our judgments about events do. Epictetus. Identify what's external, separate it from your judgment. Marcus Aurelius. Choose not to be harmed and you won't feel harmed. Finding that space lets you focus on getting through, growing, helping, instead of dwelling on the perceived harm. Stoicism offers this as a whole life philosophy, not just a therapeutic tool. And it's strangely comforting to know Marcus Aurelius struggled too, right? His temper, his worries about his son Commodus, even the emperor wasn't perfect. Maybe his real achievement wasn't being a great emperor, but just trying so hard to be a good man. His struggles make his wisdom more relatable.
Zeno's shipwreck was stoicism in action facing disaster, choosing philosophy.
William Mulligan dealing with hate comments is the modern version: can't control the comment, can choose the response, educate, be kind. His New Zealand car breakdown story: couldn't control the car, chose to sing a silly song and laugh instead of stressing, turned a disaster into a good memory, even led to meeting helpful people.
It really does come down to that incredible freedom. You always choose your response.
Okay, let's shift gears a bit. Let's talk about stuff. Physical stuff, plans, just accumulation. The book argues pretty strongly that modern life pushes us towards having too much, and that less is often way more beneficial.
Yeah, think back to Diogenes just wanting sunlight from Alexander.
Hmm?
Modern life, especially with social media and advertising, drills into us that happiness comes from getting more, upgrading, accumulating. It's a really powerful default setting, hard to switch off.
And it creates its own problems, right? Totally. Stress about earning enough to buy the stuff, guilt about the environmental impact, maybe even just realizing this stuff doesn't actually make you feel better long term. The source suggests we often use chasing the next thing, the next purchase, the next goal to kind of distract ourselves from feeling empty or dissatisfied internally. And almost every major philosophy or religion lands on the same core point. True happiness isn't about having a lot. It's about feeling that what you have is enough. Constantly wanting more is a recipe for unhappiness. The thrill of getting something new is so short-lived: minutes, hours, maybe days for something big. Then it fades and you need the next hit. Marcus Aurelius put it simply: very little is needed to make a happy life. It is all within yourself.
The more you have, the more you want. Like Alexander the Great, conquering the world but never feeling like it was enough.
Exactly. The more external things we chase, the less mental space we have to realize that real freedom, real contentment, comes from letting go of that constant urge for more. William Mulligan talks about being stuck in that groove himself, always feeling there's got to be more than this. Even when he was getting more stuff or achieving goals, desire, in that sense, is like a fire, the book says. Feed it, it gets bigger. The only way to manage it is to stop feeding it so much fuel.
The gratitude exercise seems tailor-made to fight this.
Yeah. Listing things you're grateful for, things you're excited about right now, it actively retrains your brain, shifts your focus to appreciating what's already there. It builds that mental habit of noticing good moments, realizing the small things are often enough. That becomes the fuel for actually enjoying your life rather than constantly chasing the next thing.
Yeah.
And the book suggests a lot of our compulsive buying or wanting comes from a deeper feeling of not being enough ourselves. Acquiring things feels like an easy way to fill that void without the harder work of actually building inner worth or becoming the person you want to be.
So instead of getting more stuff, focus on becoming more.
Through things like hobbies, fitness, learning, practicing the virtues, walking that eudaimonia path. Benjamin Hoff, in The Tao of Pooh, says something similar. Getting sidetracked by acquiring things actually blocks the path to real happiness. And those people online who seem to have the perfect life, all the stuff, they're not necessarily better at living, they're often just better at marketing. Social media becomes this giant performance of needing attention, which becomes the currency of success. But real happiness doesn't need an audience, and chasing an audience rarely brings real happiness. William Mulligan mentioned feeling miserable while projecting happiness online. The facade worked, but he didn't feel better because he was chasing the wrong metric appearance, not inner state. Plus, focusing constantly on getting just leaves less room, mentally and spiritually, for the things that bring deep joy, connection, learning, creativity. Like the Zen story of the overflowing teacup, a mind filled with desires and preconceptions has no room for new wisdom or purpose. All the stuff, physical and mental, crowds out what truly matters.
Even Marcus Aurelius, surrounded by imperial luxury, saw the danger.
He specifically credits his mother for teaching him simplicity, avoiding the habits of the rich. He warned himself against becoming Caesarified, getting caught up in the trappings of power. Prioritizing simple dignity, goodness, justice over status symbols, Seneca nailed it. It is not the man who has too little, but the man who craves more that is poor.
And social media really fuels that craving and comparison, doesn't it?
Oh, massively. Mindlessly scrolling, following accounts out of envy or even hate following. It's such a drain on precious mental energy that can be used building your own good life. William Mulligan talks about curating his feed ruthlessly, only following things that genuinely add value, educate, or inspire him. That transformed it from something that made him feel bad into a useful tool. And the source points out, wearingly, how social media use can mirror addiction symptoms, needing it to feel better, preoccupation, needing more time on it, withdrawal, conflict. It's worth asking honestly if that sounds familiar.
The platforms are designed to hook us, often using outrage, envy, those little dopamine hits.
Endless scrolling, notifications. They build addictive habits.
Yeah.
We're basically trading our time, our focus, our most precious commodity for their profit. It's like working unpaid overtime for tech companies. They sell us these online experiences so successfully that we forget what actually feels good. Deep down, a walk outside, coffee with a friend, helping someone, just staring out the window. Those simple, real things hit a different, deeper button.
William Mulligan has shared some practical tips for managing it, though.
Yeah, curating the feed, using timers, the shopping mall rule, like, would you actually talk to this person if you saw them? Keeping the phone physically out of reach creates friction against mindless checking. And he notes that feeling of panic leaving the house without it, that's a sign something's off balance, right? When we feel lost without the device. The real joys, the source argues, are in discovery, resilience, effort, connection, conversation. Things rooted in real experience, not external validation. Epictetus said people confuse the means, wealth, status with the happy life itself. The truly worthwhile things are the virtuous activities.
So every choice matters. Saying yes to scrolling is saying no to something else.
Exactly. Saying yes to buying something on impulse might be saying no to saving for something meaningful, or just appreciating what you have. Making decisions based on virtues, or even just consciously choosing preferred indifference, helps cut through the noise and build better habits, avoiding illusion and ego. And just to recap, preferred indifference, neutral things, like money, health, skills, neither good nor bad in themselves. How we use them, guided by virtue, is what matters. Poverty is generally dispreferred, makes life harder. Health is preferred, we want to live well. But even a dispreferred thing can be chosen virtuously, like choosing poverty over corruption. And sometimes dispreferred things have benefits, pain signaling injury. It's the vices that shape these indifference into things to avoid. Our lives are short. We usually need much less than we think to be content.
The expectations versus appreciations exercise seems like a great antidote here.
Yeah, constantly wanting just pushes happiness into the future. Focusing on appreciating what you have now builds that mental muscle. Seeing the good that's already present. It's not about chasing more, but appreciating existing. Listing expectations versus appreciations daily really highlights how much good is already there, fostering gratitude.
Okay, there's this fundamental Stoic idea, maybe the most famous one. Perception is reality, Hamlet quotes Epictetus. There is nothing either good or bad, but thinking makes it so.
It means that while things happen in the world, our experience of those things, whether we label them good or bad, is shaped entirely by our thoughts, our judgments, our perspective. If you constantly look for the bad, guess what? You'll find it everywhere.
And we can actively shape our experience by building better thought habits.
Exactly. If you go looking for conflict, you'll find arguments. If you look for kindness, you'll find that too. It's not just random luck. It's often the perspective you bring. William Mulligan's story about being a bricklayer is such a powerful illustration of being trapped by perception.
Just repeating, this is rubbish, my life is rubbish.
He describes it as the only script his brain knew. Repeating it became a way to avoid responsibility, to confirm his worst fears. There's an almost addictive comfort in feeling right about how bad things are, because then you don't have to try.
The path of least resistance, but you miss out on so much.
All the growth that comes from challenge, discomfort, making mistakes, and learning. And evolution has kind of wired us for negativity bias, hasn't it? We latch on to criticism, the funny look. Thousands of years ago, that helped us spot danger. But our nervous systems haven't quite caught up to our relatively safe modern world. We're still scanning for threats. Reason, the Stoics say, is the muscle we need to train to override those outdated signals, to build the habit of seeing the world as connected, not hostile.
Mulligan's moment in the alley was his turning point for this.
That sudden thought, why don't I think good things instead? He says it took huge effort at first, catching the negative thought, consciously flipping it, feeling almost guilty, like he was betraying his old miserable self. But it became a habit. He started seeing choices, handholds on the rock face, where before he only saw a smooth, impossible glass wall. The exercise of reframing a past negative event is key here. Look back. Did any good come from that bad experience? Could the good things you have now have happened without it? Learning comes from changing your perception of the past.
But the book is careful to distinguish this thoughts create reality from, say, the law of attraction.
Yes, very important distinction. What people often call law of attraction focuses on thinking positively in order to get specific external outcomes. Wealth, success, the perfect partner. Stoicism is not about manifesting external things. It's about building internal character. Pursuing wealth for its own sake without virtue is seen as foolish. For Stoics, perception is reality, means your thoughts shape who you become and how you experience the world, not the external world itself. You can't wish reality into conforming to your desires. You accept reality and choose your virtuous response within it. You control your opinions, your motivations, not the external results. Two people get the same news. One is devastated, one sees opportunity. The external event is the same. The internal perception creates the different reality for them.
And it's also not toxic positivity.
Definitely not. Toxic positivity ignores or suppresses negative feelings. Just be positive when things are genuinely hard. Stoicism acknowledges difficulty, pain, injustice. It doesn't pretend they don't exist, it says. Okay, this is happening. Now bring your virtues. Wisdom, courage, justice, moderation to bear on it. See it clearly. Act rightly. The traffic jam is still a traffic jam, but your thinking determines whether it's a source of rage or a chance to listen to something interesting. Toxic positivity avoids the lessons in hardship. Jim Carrey's speech touched on this. Nading acceptance makes you invisible. Realizing fame and fortune weren't the answer. Choosing consciously to perceive challenges as beneficial, that's closer to the Stoic view.
Cognitive distancing, like in CBT, seems related to.
Asking yourself, will this matter in a week, a month, a year? It shrinks the immediate problem, helps you realize the difficult feeling will pass. Marcus Aurelius boils it down. Objective judgment, now. Unselfish action, now. Willing acceptance, now. That's all you need. Those are the internal tools you control to shape your reality. The story of the two monks arriving at different villages is perfect. One asks, what are people like here? The other replies, what were they like where you came from? Oh, terrible. Well, you'll find them terrible here too. The next monk asks the same, but says people were wonderful where he came from. You'll find them wonderful here too. Your perception primes you for the reality you encounter.
William Mulligan's hostel story and the security guard story show this in action.
In the hostel, he perceived judgment and hostility from the French guys, instantly ruining his mood. But when he changed his internal perception and approached them openly, reality shifted. They were friendly. With the security guard, he judged him based on looks, assumed he was mean. When he decided to greet him positively anyway, he discovered the guard was just shy. Your internal state radiates outwards and influences the interactions you have. And the bin man story comes back again, that kindness shifted Mulligan's entire perception of the world, made him receptive to seeing good. Life was still messy, but his view changed everything. Marcus Aurelius wrote about retreating into yourself. Wherever you go, there you are. You can't run from your own mind. If you carry hostility internally, you'll find reasons for it externally. If you cultivate inner peace and openness, you'll find more of that too.
Like the exercise where you look for red objects and then can't remember the blue ones. Focus shapes what you see.
Exactly. The exercise of consciously noticing positive things trains your perception. The trees, birdsong, a friendly hello, clean water, comfortable shoes. How many good things can you spot? Do people start to seem different when you actively look for the good? Not because they changed, but because you did. You find what you're looking for. The world happens, but the lens is yours to choose.
Which leads us right into the final core idea, living in the moment, being present.
The book puts it starkly. Life isn't this complicated timeline. It's just one big dot. Right now.
That's the only time that actually exists.
Pretty much. The past is memory. The future is projection. We only ever live in the present moment. Yet we spend so much time lost in nostalgia for good old days, which probably weren't perfect either, or pinning all our hopes on a future where things will finally be fixed. Often just a way to avoid dealing with the now, rushing, filling every second, avoiding boredom, constantly stimulated.
Yeah, we won't look back fondly on the hours spent just distracting ourselves.
All the to-do lists, regrets, anxieties about what's next. They keep our minds anywhere but here, now. And the source talks about attention as this global currency we just hand over to corporations, letting them steal our lives moment by moment, often by feeding our vices.
The $86,400 seconds analogy really hits home.
Right. If someone stole 10 bucks, you wouldn't throw the rest of your money away.
Yeah.
So why let one bad moment, one negative interaction, ruin the other 86,390 seconds in your day?
We're always planning to be happy later, making changes so that we can be happy in the future.
But if you can't find ways to cultivate contentment now with what you have, why assume you'll magically find it in some imagined future? Hope can become a trap, a distraction from making the future person the one you are right now. The Zen teacher Charlotte Joko Beck is quoted saying, "Unbearable feelings often come from believing they should be cured. We're told constantly, overcome, triumph, improve. We feel like failures if we don't. But maybe accepting this is how it is right now is the key." John Tarrant calls suffering a clue, a gift, asking, what if this is it? Finding the profound goodness inside the common life. What we have is now. The virtues are available now. Build character now. Why sacrifice today for a maybe future?
Pushing through difficulty in the present builds strength, lets you savor things more.
And fears about the future. They dissolve when you truly land at the present moment, because the feared thing isn't actually happening right now. How many things you dread are physically occurring in this exact second? Usually none. The be present exercise sounds simple, but hard. Just sit quietly, accept existing is enough. Our minds immediately want to fill the space phone, list, worry. Why is stillness so difficult? Starting small, 30 seconds, building up, reclaiming those moments.
It feels like our natural human drives for connection, discovery get channeled into the wrong things.
Like the smartphone, doom scrolling, binge watching. Instead of the village square or the garden, a good book. A long walk often clears the head, brings you present. You feel good, think I should do this more, then ping. A work email, a chore reminder. And you're instantly pulled back into future anxiety or past regret. Reading can be meditative too. Focus, calm brain, expand mind. And those big human questions, purpose. Meaning they need space, don't they? Space modern life really affords. We need time to just dwell, to let ideas simmer.
Seneca warned about this. Life is short and anxious for those who forget the past, neglect the present, fear the future.
William Mulligan's story about being mugged on his bike shows a brain trained in presence. His reaction was purely to the actual threat, not imagined fears before or lingering anxiety after. He'd lost the habit of seeing danger everywhere. He contrasts his teenage fears with his present calm, realizing most fears were never real in the moment they occurred. Reducing fear is a worthy goal. Talking to a stranger, an interview, they rarely deserve the level of fear we give them. Marcus Aurelius. Remind yourself that past and future have no power over you, only the present moment.
Seeing friends together but all on their phones, it feels like such a loss of presence.
Totally. Missing spontaneous connection. Will we look back happily on those moments? It takes a conscious choice. Let's put the phones away, actually be together. Remember intense childhood moments, often pure presence, free from adult baggage about past and future. As adults, we drag that baggage into the now, can't appreciate the moment. Like holiday travel stress focused on arrival, missing the journey, then finally relaxing, noticing the view from the hotel. It's about putting down the baggage.
Mulligan's old construction job mindset, can't wait for today to be over, living for the weekend, then grieving the weekend.
It's such a negative loop, and ads reinforce it. Live for Friday, live for the holiday, rushing towards this tiny fraction of life, wishing away the majority. He built a habit of never enjoying the present, which meant even the longed-for future wasn't enjoyable when it arrived. Contrast that with his cleaning job, finding presence and satisfaction in the task itself. The time to enjoy life is now. See the sunset, call a friend, make tea, play music. You don't need a whole free day. The hours after work are still precious. Remove the attachments to past and future. Find clarity and enjoyment now. Mulligan admits he still struggles sometimes not to turn beautiful moments into lessons or stories, just letting them be. Even quiet, boring moments perfectly exist in the now. And the perfect time never arrives anyway, right? Holidays have stresses, parties have mishaps. Find the truth, the reality, the potential enjoyment in the right now, because that's literally all we ever have. That unlocks everything.
So after all that, after diving deep into these ideas, how do you actually start or keep going if you've already started trying to live more stoically?
Well, the book really emphasizes that Stoicism is a guide, a blueprint, yeah, but crucially, it's practical. You have to do it incorporated into your life somehow. But the good news is, even one small step, trying to apply one virtue, consciously focusing on what you control for 5 minutes as progress towards eudaimonia, it's acting on the knowledge that makes you a Stoic, not just knowing the ideas. And the ideas have lasted because they address something fundamental about being human, haven't they? Ancient problems, wars, difficult people, managing emotions. They're still our problems today, just maybe with different window dressing, like internet noise or consumer culture. Times change, but maybe not that much deep down. We're still human, we still face challenges, we still have potential for virtue, and the modern problems we face, often human-created, which means they're potentially solvable by applying these human virtues: wisdom, justice, courage, moderation. If we want a world with more truth, fairness, kindness, responsibility, less fear, it starts with implementing these in our own lives. The book aims to give you the tools for that, starting within.
And the book summarizes the key takeaways for living the Stoic life quite nicely.
Yeah, it boils down to be present. Focus only on what's within your control. Shape your actions around the four virtues. Feel gratitude for what you have right now. Remember death memento mori, not morbidly, but to appreciate life. And remember, we're all equal in facing it. All have access to eudaimonia. And be mindful of your thoughts. Claim your power to be the good you want to see.
Wow. That was definitely a deep dive. From, ancient shipwrecks and emperors to dealing with Twitter trolls and traffic jams. The core wisdom seems remarkably consistent and relevant.
It really does highlight how much of our daily struggle isn't caused by the world itself necessarily, but by how we choose to perceive it, how we choose to react, moment by moment.
And I think reframing Stoic is important too. It's not about being emotionless or detached, is it? It's about actively building character through connection, courage, finding balance, seeking wisdom, and ultimately doing that benefits everyone, not just yourself. That feels like a really powerful shift.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And it's a path anyone can start walking, like right now, today, just by making a conscious choice about how to think, how to act in this present moment.
So maybe a final thought for you to consider. If the core Stoic idea is that life is really just this moment, and you hold the power through your thoughts and choices to shape how you experience it, what's one tiny thing maybe you could do right now, today, to make this moment and the ones that follow feel a little more aligned with the kind of life you genuinely want to live?
That's definitely something worth mulling over.
Indeed. And that's our deep dive for today.